Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? How are you guys doing today? This is Gregory Wiles with his Inspirational Morning Walk. Gregory Wiles' Inspirational Morning Walk. But you see, I'm sitting in my vehicle today. It's not that it's raining and the weather's that bad. It's cold. It's cold, but not, nothing that I never go out in before and do my talks. But I can just take a little seat here today in my vehicle, take a little pause in my walking because I got a couple of papers here to flip through, and it's not easy for me to go through them when I'm standing or walking. So I just take a little pause here because I want to cover this material today. Because I know the last time we did about generational curses, right? Generational curses. And I said just take the time over the weekend to identify some of the negative trend lines in your family, right? Good morning, Jillian. Good morning. Yes, so I'm sitting in the vehicle today, not because the weather's bad outside. I just got a couple of papers to flip through here today, and I want to make sure I can go through them. It's not comfortable me doing them when I'm standing or walking, so I can take a little pause and so I can flip through them. Yes, because today I want to explain about covenants and how these generational curses get into your bloodline and how will give them the right to be there and stay there. So I want to make sure I can go through this information properly, flip through them properly. Okay, so let me jump right into it. So we talk about the generational curses, and this is how they have access to the bloodline. And we can go through covenants. I got to give you a good understanding of covenants for you to understand why it is legal and how they can get into your family bloodline, right? Okay, so let's go quick. What we can deal today, I can deal with the Abrahamic covenant. If you ever heard of that, this is a covenant God made with Abraham, right? So let's start off what a covenant is. A covenant is an agreement between two parties. There are two basic type of covenants, a conditional and an unconditional covenant. A conditional or bilateral covenant is an agreement that is binding on both parties for its fulfillment. Both parties agree to fulfill certain conditions. If either party fails to meet their responsibility, the covenant is broken and neither party has to fulfill the expectation of the covenant. Quickly, a covenant like this, a conditional covenant, is, let's say, your marriage. Your marriage is a conditional covenant. Two y'all agree that this is the thing, for better, for worse, sickness or health, and all that good stuff, and you can be the only person, all that. But if anyone break it, it's the other party don't have to fulfill that. You go and get your divorce and they're done. That covenant is over, right? And a lot of covenants with God made with his people. You follow my laws, I do this for you. If you don't follow them, that's gonna happen. That's conditional covenants. You do one, if you do your part, I'm gonna do my part. That's conditional covenants, right? So unconditional covenants now, let's look at what unconditional covenant is. An unconditional or unilateral covenant is an agreement between two parties, but only one of the two parties has to do something. Nothing is required of the other party. So a covenant, an unconditional covenant, is only one party. Let's say I said, okay, I ain't got no kids or anything. When I die, I'm going to give all my money to this person, or not. You ain't got to wait till you die. I want to do this for somebody, right? You tell them, I'm going to do this. You're going to get a lawyer. You're going to get one. Say, I'm going to do this. You got to get all that involved. Now, Lily Singh, thank you for watching. But you said, I'm going to do this for this person. That person don't have to do nothing. You make no conditions on it. Well, you got to do this. You got to do this before I do this. You just decide, I'm going to do this for you. That's a covenant you make. You sign off on that, and that's a unconditional covenant, right? So let's deal with the covenant God made with Abraham, which is a unconditional covenant, right? You remember when he tell him, this is Genesis 12, 1 through 3. Genesis 12, 1 through 3. This is the covenant God made with Abraham. We can dive into this here, right? So the Lord had said to Abraham, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I'll make you into a great nation. I'll bless you. I'll make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all people on the earth will be blessed through you, right? So this is the covenant he make with him. He said, you go from your nation. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to make you a great nation. I'm going to make your name great. And whoever bless you, I'm going to bless. Whoever curse you, I'm going to curse. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So yes, so that's the covenant he made with him there, right? He made a covenant with him there, right? So, but in Genesis 15, 1 through 17, Abraham was getting a little, because this about 20 years ago, God made this covenant. You go, I'm going to do all this stuff for you, right? So let's look quickly at Genesis 15. I'm going to read about 1 through 17. I want you to get the whole picture of it. So after this, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision. He said, don't be afraid, Abraham. I'm your shield. You are your very great reward. But Abraham said, Sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless? And the one who will inherit my estates is Eliezer of Damascus. And Abraham said, you have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. Then the word of the Lord came to him. This man will not be here. God said, no. This man is not going to be your heir. He's not going to inherit yourself. You can get a child that come from your own seed. He said, this man will not be your heir, but a son in your own flesh and blood will be your heir. He looked at him outside and said, look up at the sky and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, then he said to him, so shall be your offspring. He's saying you're going to have a lot of children. Abraham said, man, I approached you 20 years ago. You told me this. I'm getting old. I'm coming close to 100. My wife is close to 90. Oh, give me something. Then Abraham believed the Lord, and he credited to his righteousness. But then he also said to him, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land and take possession of it. But Abraham said, Sovereign Lord, how can I know I will gain these possessions? So Abraham questioned, he said, God, man, you telling me this, but give me something concrete for me to know that this is going to happen, man. You tell me something. You tell me this 20 years ago, nothing happening. You're still coming back here telling me that this is going to happen. A child from, are you going to make me all of this great nation and all of these people and like all the stars in the skies? And I'm coming down to about 100 and nothing happening. Give me something more concrete, more than this. That's what Abraham was saying. Okay, so the Lord said, I understand, Abraham. Let's make this final now. Let's make this deal official that it can't turn back so you won't try to question me again, right? So in 9, he said, so the Lord said to him, bring me a heifer, a goat, a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a young pigeon, right? I want to stick a pin right there. So you see the Lord tell him, bring some stuff. Guys, this is a principle. So when people you get fed up of God and you're not doing what you're doing, and you go to these people to get a read, to get this, to change your luck and all of that, they're going to always tell you to bring something or do something. This is where the principle come from. A lot of times those things, there's no significance of those things, but because you follow the instruction, you want something, and they tell you to do something, now it's becoming a conditional covenant, right? You do this and I do this for you. So when then people tell you, bring a half bottle of wine, bring an egg, bring a pigeon, bring this, go buy this corner, do this, that is a conditional covenant. You do that and I'm going to do what you want me to do. Right, so that's where they come from. So God tell him to bring these things, right? Bring a heifer, a goat, a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a pigeon. God said, we can seal this deal final now, right? And Abraham brought all these things to him. He cut them in two and arranged the halves opposite each other. The birds, however, he did not cut in half. We can explain that another time. So what he did, he cut these stuff in half and he put them one on the right side, one on the left side, and left a pathway in between them. It's that got a meaning, and I can explain it down the line, right? Then the birds of the prey came down on the carcasses, but Abraham drove them away. The crows who eat the carcasses, and Abraham, drive them away. So let's get down to the part where I really want to get down to. I'm just trying to set the stage. So as the sun was setting, Abraham fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and dreadful darkness came over him. Then the Lord said to him, know for certain, right? Here the Lord saying, no, don't come back question me, Abraham. We're sealing this deal right now. Know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterwards they will come out with great possessions, right? He said, know for certain this is going to happen. You know for certain. So you, however, will go to to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. In the fourth generation, your descendants will come back here, for the sins of the Amorites has not yet reached his full measure, right? So you tell know for certain, bro, this is going to happen. So don't question me again. So here's this part here now. When the sun had set and the darkness had fallen, a smoking firepot with a blazing torch appeared and passed through the pieces. So that was the significance why he laid the pieces and left a pathway in between it. Because back in those days, this is how people used to seal agreements. This is their way of signing an agreement. They get these sacrifices, the sacrifices to the Lord, and then they put them, and both people pass through the sacrifices, the little pathway would make pass through it, and that was their way of signing an agreement. But in this case here, this smoking pot that appeared, that was God's spirit passing through there. Because remember, this is an unconditional covenant. Abraham didn't have to do nothing to receive this. So God is the only one had to pass through there. That's like him signing off on this agreement. They draft up this agreement by the lawyer's office and you sign it. So God is the only one had to pass through there to make it legal, because he's the one who is doing this to Abraham. Abraham had to do nothing to receive this. So he's the only one had to pass through it. That's why Abraham was in the sleep and he's coming to them. So but Abraham accepted it by bringing these stuff, doing this. When Abraham wake up from the dream, Abraham didn't challenge the dream, or Abraham didn't tell God at no point, no, God, I don't want this. I don't want this. I'm not accepting this, because he could have done that. But the agreement was made. This covenant was made with Abraham, right? I get that to get into what I want to get into now. This is the covenant God made with Abraham. Abraham accepted this covenant. I'm going to make you a great nation for 400, know for certain, for 400 years, your descendants will be strangers in the country, and I'm going to get them out. That's a covenant. That's done. Don't question me no more. This is going to happen. So I just want to show you now how effective a covenant is, right? And let's get into now some other ways where this covenant come back in, where God had the right to carry out and the obligation to carry out what he had promised. So let's go to Isaac. That's Genesis 15. Let's jump straight forward to Genesis 26, 1 through 6. Isaac, now remember, Abraham did get the kids. He get Isaac and Ishmael. Isaac was the promised child, blah, 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 blah. We know a while of that go. Isaac is a grown man now, right? So now let's look at Genesis 26, 1 through 6 with Isaac now. That's Abraham's son. So now there was a famine in the land, besides the previous famine in Abraham's time, and Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, in Ger. The Lord appeared to Isaac. Here who appeared? The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, do not go down to Egypt, in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in the land for a while, and I will be with you. I will be with you and bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give these land. We heard it before. This we promised Abraham, right? For you and your descendants I will give you this land, and will confirm the oath. Here, come in. I will confirm the oath I swear to your father. I'll confirm the oath I swear to your father. Right? I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars. We heard it before. And he reconfirmed what he tell Abraham. Now it's his son. He coming to his son and he telling him this. I reconfirming this. I make this agreement with your father. I sign off on this as I'm going to do. He did not challenge it. He accepted it. We have an agreement and I got to fulfill it now, right? And he goes, I will make your descendants numerous as the stars in the skies and give them all these lands. And through your offspring, all nations in the earth will be blessed. And he go on and reiterate the same thing. So now let's jump down further now. Genesis 28, 10 through 14. Now this is Jacob, which is Isaac's son, which is Abraham's grandson. Stay with me. Now we gone down to Isaac's son now, which is Abraham's grandson. Now let's look at the conversation here again. Remember, Isaac had Jacob and Esau, and Rebekah, the mother, had tricked Jacob more, and Esau was the firstborn twin, so he was entitled to the blessing, but to trick, the story, she tell Jacob to dress up like blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, but the trick Esau and Isaac and Jacob get the blessing when Esau should have gotten it, right? You could look up that story. But anyhow, Esau was mad because he was tricked out of his firstborn rights. And he said, he telling some of the servants, when my father's old, when he die, I'm going to kill the one Jacob for getting my firstborn right, for tricking me into that. So Rebecca heard it, and Rebecca said, Jacob, you got to get out of here. Your brother planning to kill you. So said, go down to my family, in Haran, and find your wife there. Stay there, and I can tell you when it's time to come back, when your brother cool down, and when it's time to come back. So this is when Jacob was going on that trip, when he was leaving home, going there, trying to get away before his brother killed him. So Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night. Because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put under his head and lay down to sleep. So he take a stone and make a pillow, basically, with saying. He had a dream in which he saw the stairway resting on the earth, which its top reaching to the heavens, and the angel of God were ascending and descending on it. Right? There above it stood the Lord. Hear the Lord again. There above it stood the Lord, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. He coming again, identifying himself to Abraham's grandson. He said, I'm the God of Abraham, I'm the God of Isaac. He come, I will give you and your descendants the land on which you're lying. Again, he coming to tell this guy about the promise he make with Abraham. This covenant I have with Abraham, bro, this give me the right to come and fulfill the promise in your life. Because Abraham opened the door and let me into your family bloodline. He didn't reject it. He didn't shut me out. He could have done that, but he did not. He accepted me, and I'm in here now in this family, and I got to do what I promised him to do. So he come to Abraham's grandson, right? And he telling him, your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. All your people on the earth will be blessed through you. This is the agreement I make with your grandfather. He dead and gone, but I still got to carry it out because the covenant we had. Right? Why he come harassing this man, kids, and telling them, but because it's an agreement, and the covenants are very, very serious. I can get to what I'm getting to in a little bit. So let's go now. Let's go down further down now. Safely, this here could be close into, let's say, close to 100 years, because this is this man's grandson. He come to Jacob, right? So now let's go all the way down past 400 or 500 years and see how this covenant is still in effect. This in Exodus now. We jump all the way to Exodus 3:5-7. This is when God was speaking to Moses at the burning bush. You remember that story, guys? Speaking to Moses at the burning bush. Moses is who? Moses was going to get his people out of Israel. So remember when he tell him, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, when he make this, right? And he said he'll get them out for 400 years. So now this 400 years pass. This 400 years coming here now. He talking to Moses in the burning bush to go and get his people out. For who know the story, I jump ahead of it. So let's read what it said. We can read from 3:5-7. He said, do not come any closer, God said. He telling, this is when he saw the burning bush. He telling Moses, don't come closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you're standing on is holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Now, why he coming and telling them he's this God of these people? Listen why. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. Remember, he tell them this can happen for certain and he can get them out. So this already happened. He fulfilled this covenant even though it's but 500-600 years ago. But he had an agreement, and he got to carry it out. He said, I see the misery of my people. I've heard their crying out because of the slave drivers, and I'm concerned about their suffering. So, guys, what I'm trying to tell you, all of this, how Abraham gave him right to his family bloodline because he signed a covenant with him. On the flip side, it's the same thing happened on the demonic side. When you go and make a deal with the devil, as we just say, he has the right to your family bloodline the same way he going to come in to your grandchildren, to your great-great-grandchildren, saying, I am the devil that your great-great-great-grandmommy and granddaddy make a deal with. So I got a right to harass you now. I got a right to make a deal that I can bring poverty on your family. And I got to fulfill that right now because I got the right. Same way how God had the right and the authority to come into the blood. They didn't ask God to come and do this. They didn't know nothing about the agreement. That's why he come in and he reminding them of the agreement. In case you never know, bro, this is the agreement me and your grandfather had. And I got to fulfill it in your life. They couldn't say no or yes, nothing. He reminded them 400 or 500 years after, I am your God of Abraham, Isaac, your great. We had a deal, bro, and I still here to carry out the deal. Same thing the devil do. We have a deal way back then because somebody, the job was messing around me and I want to get them out of the promotion and I do this, or I'm going to say I'm going to make somebody looking like they're prospering, I'm going to make them poor. When you go to that person, well, God said the same iniquity I can bring on your generation. So if you try to go and bring somebody down and make them poor so you can see them struggle and suffering, you're introducing a spirit of poverty into your bloodline. So the devil said, okay, you sign off on poverty. And it doesn't matter because the enemy going to do stuff to trick you. They get into your bloodline, but it doesn't matter. The agreement is still legal. It's like you get tricked, somebody, like when people go down to Vegas and all down to drink and they get drunk and then they go to drive through and they get married. It doesn't matter. It is legal still. Not until they go to a judge and get it reversed. It is still legal if they left it hanging out there, or somebody trick you into buying your house. They drunk you, they get you whatever, and they get you to sign off so I can sell you my house for $1. They trick you. But that agreement is still legal until you go to a judge and plead your case and say, Judge, they tricked me. I was under the influence, they drunk me, and get to sign. The judge say, okay, good. That's not good grounds. You can't trick this man. I can reverse it. But until you do that, that agreement is still legal. You could complain to anyone you want. Man, this guy tricked me. But it's still legal until you go and get it reversed. The same thing with the covenants. It doesn't matter if it come by trickery or not. It is still legal until you go to your judge, which is God, and say, God, look, I want to reverse this agreement with my great-great-great-great-grandpappy had, or what even I did. I was ignorant, I didn't know, but I want to reverse this agreement now. I want out of it now. But until you do that, if you don't know that you can do that, the agreement can still be legal, still going through your bloodline, and you can still accept it and saying, oh, diabetes running my family, heart condition running my family at 50, great granny, mommy big sister, mommy younger sister, cousin, they died at 50. They're taking with this particular heart case and died at 50, so it's my portion. Because the agreement is there. That's what somebody introduced into bloodline way back when. You don't have to sit back and accept it. You can change it. That's why I'm here to tell you, you can change it. You can go to your God by fasting and praying and say, I want out of this. But until you get this knowledge, that's why God said my people struggle because of knowledge. They perish because of lack of knowledge. You don't know this stuff. Nobody teaching you this stuff. And you going on and getting frustrated and saying God ain't working with you. And God looking and saying, bro, I can't touch you. It's like you married right now, right? You move out from your spouse, you and your wife or your husband, and live for 10, 20 years, but the union is still legal. You cannot legally go married. You cannot legally go married. That covenant is still there. Not until you get a divorce, then you could legally go married. You may live this, you might not see that person in 10 years, but none of y'all never take the step to go and get a divorce. You still hung up. You can't go and get married. It's just like that. And you going to God and saying, God, I wonder why I can't come out of poverty. Why this stuff? Why I can't get married, God? Why I can't get this? Why I got to struggle in this area? And you say, you got an agreement. I can't touch you. You married. I can't marry you now. Not until you get the divorce from the situation there. Then I can touch you. So you got to break the agreement, and then you can make a next agreement. Right? So that's how it works, guys. I don't want to go on too long, but that's how it works. So now I got to go and we can look at an agreement where the Israelites was tricked into making and they still had to honor it. So you to understand that portion of it. I can see what we're getting to. We got a lot to cover on this to get the solid understanding of it, because I want you guys to understand covenants are serious, and that's how these curses come into your bloodline. I'm going to leave it there today. I know I throw a lot at you guys today. I'm going to leave it there today, and we can follow up on Wednesday, guys. Have a great, great, great day, guys. Have a great day. Goodbye.